still and affirm your oneness with all of creation. Knowing that where you are is holy ground, sacred seed thou art. And Father, Mother God, we do give thanks for this time, this place, this hour, where we have chosen to come and commune as one. Feeling the positiveness of our ancestors, the knowledge, the love, and the wisdom. We invoke the spark of our DNA to come alive, so that we can remember who we are. Yes. Germinating that understanding and manifesting it in this world. And for this time that we spend together in oneness and in harmony, we say Ashe,
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 Asheo.
Asheo.
So it is. Full moon is on Tuesday, and we always have our full moon service as close to the full moon as possible, so that we have it this Sunday. This is the full moon of the Wesak, and there is a special ceremony that goes along, with that. And with that ceremony and the meditation of it, the Christ spirit and the Buddha spirit brings their energy back to this planet, and they radiate that energy to us as people. As you were saying, they don't even incarnate anymore. The Christ spirit does not incarnate, nor does the Buddha, because it's too painful, they say, for them to even incarnate in human form anymore. So the only thing that they do is to radiate that energy towards the earth, and those people who are receptive to it receive it. Those who are not, it's just like a seed that's on the ground. If that seed is able to get the sunlight, what does it do? It turns its face towards the sunlight, and it is the same thing for us. But before we do that, we have David is going to talk to us about exactly what this full moon is. So I'm going to bring Brother David up.
Thank you. That's a wonderful segue into that. This full moon in Libra, she says, the sun is in Aries, 26 degrees. Has two good banner symbols. The Aryan one says it's a man possessed of more gifts than he can handle. Just look at that. That's where the sun is. The moon opposing it, in our duality system that we live, and we're still trying to balance that to see what it is. We have an eagle transforming into a large white dove, and white dove is transforming itself into an eagle. Two powerful, powerful images. Along at the same time, this full moon, it comes exact on Tuesday. Tradition, if we can hear it, calls this full moon a blood red full moon. These don't happen very often, and there's going to be 4 in a row. People from Israel seem to have a lot of tradition that they want to attach to it, and they say a lot of things have happened, and they've been very successful in militarily overcoming their enemies during this time. So you wonder what's going on there. I researched it a little bit. Not quite true. Before the red moons that occurred during their military victories were actually a year apart from when the moon happened. But we all have stories to tell. We all want to know how to get to heaven. We want to share with people how we've been through hell. Every race does this, So all races of people that we do. I was looking through time for where the full moon comes from, because we live in a dualistic system, planet Earth. We have a horizon, an imaginary line that divides one half of the world from the other half of the world. And when the sun is up on one side of the world, the moon is up on the other, so you can't see the sun at night. They call it the land of the midnight sun. In order to realize it, it would help if you were clairvoyant, then you could watch the sun through the earth. And that's pretty much what we got for this full moon, this blood red full moon, because what happens is the shadows that bounce off the light of Earth then rise up, and as the shadow of the Earth becomes between the sun and the moon, the redness comes out until it becomes a full red moon, and then it's eclipsed. This is a lunar eclipse that's happening this time. And at the same time this lunar eclipse is happening, we have a cardinal square. So let me explain that a little bit to you. A square is where energy comes together. Boom. And there's usually an explosion. There has to be a release of that energy some kind of way, and it's good because people need the energy, but they have to find out how to use it constructively. This is a challenge for everybody that has squares. They're very strong people or individuals, but you can make a chart of anything. How they release it, I guess that's the story of the history of the world, how it's taken. We have a grand square going on, then the cardinal signs. Aries is emphasized, that's where the sun is. The moon is emphasized, that's where the moon is. Also joining on the wings, we have Pluto in Capricorn, sign of big business. We all know what's going on with big business, they're disintegrating. The planet Pluto is a sign of transformation and change, or destruction. Depends on how you want to look at it. On the other side of that, we have a beneficial sign, planet Jupiter. It's the great expander. It's the planet of plenty. So if you want some more, just look to Jupiter. It's opposing big business. It's an interesting symbol. But all these things are spinning around like a cross. And it's a lot of tension going on while you are being eclipsed. You're a part of all of this that's happening. You're right in the middle of it. What are you going to do? And the thing in time that I want us to look at, let me give you some pictures. You're all familiar with the man Yeshua, because you were talking about him just before we started. And I see him walking reportedly 2,000 years ago and spreading out the information that he wanted to. We also talked about Buddha, 600 years before Christ. He was walking around spreading out some information. Now there couldn't be a bigger difference between these two people. One was in the Mideast, the other one was in the Far East. There couldn't be a bigger difference between them and the message that they were giving to the people. But as history would have it, these two came together when the Yeshua person came into the world. That's another story we'll get more into later on. Let's even go back further in time. There's another avatar called Krishna. He's also in the East. His mentee, Arjuna, was a powerful warrior. And he was very concerned that there was going to be a civil war. He had brothers on both sides. He said, I don't want to be in this war because I'll have to kill my brother. And Krishna told him he's not supposed to be concerned about that. He said, there's a bigger picture going on, and this is what this full moon is bringing to our awareness. There's a bigger picture going on than what we personally usually focus on. Everybody has the moon someplace in their chart. That's usually what we react to. Somebody touches that moon, it's like, you stepped on my shadow, you got paid. And we don't even have to think about it. You know, the person just, you transgress it, step back. And if they are not as big as you, you even get bolder with them usually. Say that only the strong survive. Terry Butler singing in the background. So what do? Krishna is talking to his mentee. He said, you got to kill your brother. Arjuna is trying to fit this into his little box. Because he's an initiate. He knows about a lot of things. Let's go forward to the Greek times a little bit. There's another hero called Achilles. He had a divine mother. And he lived in a time where compassion hadn't come into the world yet. Nobody focused on that. He was a very passionate man, and when we read the story by Homer about the Iliad, Achilles was plate full to deal with. You know, when he was upset, everybody heard about the wrath of Achilles. He'd go around killing people pretty quick. And he was pretty invulnerable. He only had one weak spot, you know, on his heel, and everybody didn't know about that. It was a secret. Somebody found out about the secret, and that's how they took him out. This is how things go. But the thing that I want you to focus on is that he was a passionate man, and he didn't know about compassion, so he didn't use it. And the people honored him. They thought it was a good deal. So now I'm going to stretch your minds and thoughts. I've given you 4 different images to look at. You know, 2 very spiritual ones, 3 very spiritual ones, 1 semi-spiritual, because he's between God and men. He's like a Superman, so to speak, in the shade. And we look at them all dealing with things a little bit different. They're all bringing a message on how to get things done. All of this we've lived through. We've been there. We were all there. We picked up this energy on how to do things. I want you to have a conversation with yourself, or remember a conversation you had with someone else that you didn't agree. For whatever reason, you didn't agree. They don't know what you're talking about. They got the facts wrong. I just don't believe that. That's what this full moon is about. You have the gifts to understand what's going on. But you have to have the consciousness to want to know what's going on. You have the consciousness to know what's going on. You have to pick from the well, are you going to use it? Now when you have things that are given to you that you haven't heard before in this life or in any small section of life, it's pretty hard to know, is that true? You know? I've never heard of that before. But does that mean it isn't true? And how will I know? Up here, we give you the words that you're really a God. Who believes that? We all want to believe it. But we also know that we're in the human state right now. And the human state is pretty powerful too. It's got a lot of gifts. It's that man that has all those gifts that you don't know how to use yet, because it's like, can I really do that? Do I really want to do that? I was having a conversation with Reverend Rita this morning. It was about relationships. This full moon is really actually relationships. And we're really in the gibbous phase of the moon right now. So the moon is actually in Virgo, and it's giving you time to think about things. Connected to that, Saturn is going through Scorpio, it's retrograde. Saturn is taskmaster, it usually brings a heavy lesson. Meaning the Scorpio lesson is emotional and it's very heavy. Think about the baggage that you're carrying. Is it heavy? Why are you still carrying it? You have the choice and the wherewithal to put it down any time. Does it serve your journey? What is the truth? And that's where we are again in this human condition, back and forth. Aries to Libra. Relationships versus the individual. What if I told you it was possible for you to sit in the other person's place, the one that you were disagreeing with, and see what they're seeing, what they're thinking and what they're feeling? Now, to do that, you have to have compassion, something that Achilles didn't have very much of, because he said, it's my way or the highway. All those other avatars that I talked about, all of them exhibited compassion. So they knew what everybody else was going through. They knew that other things had to happen too, no matter what those people were going through. Say, yeah, this is going to hurt you. This is going to challenge you. As far as you know what feelings are, as far as you know what thinking is. But you don't know everything yet. He said, you're still learning. Be mindful that we're still learning. All of us are still learning. New things are being offered, things that we've never heard of before. I look at the Christ avatar. Everybody has a lot of ideas about him. You know, you got, when the Christians first started, proper in this world, then how they progressed or evolved through the Mideast, through Asia, and then up into Europe. And we all see what they've done with that. Islam, another religion. Powerful religion. Most people focus more on nature. But nature's spirit too. We know how powerful nature is. And their religion comes straight out of that. When Jesus was teaching, actually when Christ was teaching through Jesus, people wanted to know, how did this guy learn so much? He didn't go to school. He don't know nothing. Yet when he talks, everybody listens. And his words have power. What's going on? And they even said that he spoke with the power of nature behind him. You know, it's like, it was a commanding to listen to him. He said, well, people of Islam, they learn the same way. That's a great power. People in the East, they learn from Buddha. A lot of edits, what to do or not. I'm standing here in front of you today saying that all of those people have forgotten everything they learned. Christians forgot. Islam, Muslims forgot. The Taoists forgot, the Buddhists forgot. Yet they all think today that they have the answer to how things ought to go. Bringing us back to this full moon. Got a choice to make. You got a lot of gifts, you don't know how to use them, they're like overwhelming you. If I do this, what will happen? Also reminding you that you have those God powers where there is no conciliation. There's not even any thinking. Gods don't think. They envision what they want to do and they do it. They use that creative power within them. To the extent that we realize that we don't do that, we can't really claim Godship. You can say it, it doesn't have any power to it. People can see, he's just talking, he's been playing. But it's okay. Everything's okay. Even if we dumb you down to the human part, the man Yeshua, everything he did when he walked on the earth, he says he didn't use any of his divine powers to do anything. You know, he healed people and all that kind of stuff. Made the blind see, the deaf hear. Even when they came to arrest him, he asked them, who are y'all looking for? They said, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. And he said, I am he. When he said that, they fell back. What's that about? I'll leave that to your thoughts. That's the power that that man had when he was confronted by Pilate, who was the ruling power of the times. He was reminded by Pilate, he said, I have the power of life and death over you. And Jesus just looked at him and he said, you don't have any power except for the power that comes from above you. He said, so you got to dance to that tune. He said, and the power where I come from is above that. So I'm not scared of you. He said, do what you have to do. And he got into the conversation that I'm presenting to you today. What is truth? What is truth? What is your truth? Because we won't even get into the big truth. What is your truth and how does that stack up against what's really going on? Back to the conversation where you were having a disagreement with somebody. They had part of the truth, you had part of the truth. Since neither one of you had 100%, what is this argument really about? I can't tell you, only you can look and see. How many of us look and see what's really going on? That's what this full moon is reminding you. It's about relationships. Mars, the ruler of Aries. Fire, and passion. We remember Achilles, he had a lot of that. It's right in the middle of Libra. It's very close to this full moon. Adding a lot of accent to it, so it's going to be easy for you to get upset with somebody who doesn't agree with you. They're going to be pressing your button, see where you really are. But I'm going to remind you that you're the one that brought this person into your life. You're the one that brought this person into conjunction with you to have this conversation. So what I want to know, I don't care what they're doing because they're not here. But you're here, and I'm reminding you, you're the conscious one. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? You brought this person in. Do you know the reason why that you brought him in? I'm going to suggest to you on First Street you brought him in so you could have this disagreement. Because there's something in yourself that you're not at peace with. And instead of looking at it and saying, what is that? And why haven't you looked at it? Why do you need this person to remind you? But that's what we're here for. That's what relationships are about. That's what Libra is all about. Libra is always trying to make the other person look good. But now you're telling this other person they're whacked. On Facebook, somebody sent me a little thing, a little squirrel that was going crazy. And they said, we all crazy. So you don't have to get upset, everybody's in the same boat. It's not a competition. You don't have to outdo the other person. But it seems like we try to do that sometimes. I don't know what that's about. But I'm leaving that with you because it's part of your conversation. It's part of your choice. Well, where do you want to go? Where do you want to take it? Let's look at the moon symbol a little bit. That eagle represents your will. It can see very far and very clear. It doesn't have any unclearness. It knows exactly what it wants to do. You're spiritual. There's no question about that. Whether you want to claim that or not, you have that right. That's who you are. So you got that attribute in your humanity. You have the will in your humanity. And you have the option of love, compassion, if you will. They're like the Tai Chi symbol, light and darkness, you can see, just like each one of those attributes, they are separate and distinct. But when you put it on the wheel, you start spinning it really fast. There's the oneness that you only see the white light. What is that? What is that telling you? Could it be telling you that spirit, will, and compassion all work towards the same thing all the time? Even in disharmony and conflict. Even when you're not aware because you're not looking. You're focusing on the darkness. Oh, this person, I gotta get them straight. I gotta put them in their place. Who are you talking to? Who are you really talking about? Because this person is a reflection of you.
Right.
He said, I like your conversation, he said. This guy said, I need to be checked, but I'm you. He said, you checked me really good, but you really know who you really just checked? And that's what I'm putting forth for you to look at. This is a new way of looking at things, this magic mirror that we have, and that we're used to being the people in our lives, the people that we love, the people that we don't like so much. They say, what's really going on here? They're reminding me of a part of myself that I haven't looked at. This full moon says it's time to look. Because what's coming in the coming months, if you haven't looked, you're going to be surprised by some things. Let's talk about chance. What is chance? You go outside your door and you trip over something. That was just a chance. You get in your car, you ride down the street, somebody hits you in the side. Accidents, they call it. What is an accident? I'm going to give you the proposition that an accident is something that you plan. You say, what? I couldn't plan an accident. Why would I do that?
Yes.
I say, this is a new concept. I want you to look at it. Don't argue with me. I'm just bringing information for you to look at all the time. That's what I do. I'm reminded by some of my close friends I'm pretty good at it. I don't like you anymore. I said, that's good too. See, it's all in love. And so we keep on going. But the chance is part of a higher law. Just like the external laws that we know are in place of nature, the laws of nature we call them, and then we have laws in the systems that we live in. Some of them good, some of them not so good, but all of them set up boundaries that everybody knows what it is. I can't do this, I can't go across that boundary, if I can do this, this is what's going to happen, da-da-da. A whole lot of stuff going on that you got to remember, or not. So there are consequences when you don't remember, for everything. But if there are laws that are higher than the ones that we're aware of, those are the ones we're probably going to run into. Like walking down the street with your eyes closed, you're probably going to bump into somebody sooner or later, because you're not looking. The same thing with these spiritual laws. If you don't know that they're there, you're going to run into them. spiritual law is eternal. It's not going to break. After that, you can expect to see things starting to happen in the world, outside the world and inside your own world, according to the lessons that you've looked at and learned. Saturn and Scorpio says, you're carrying stuff too heavy, you need to let it go emotionally. Has nothing to do with where you are today. It may have served you before, it's not serving you now. You are the only person that can tell that though, and you are the only person that can let it go. It's not going to drop away from you on its own. It may bump into you pretty hard, and then you're going to have a fight. Or you can let it go. And this is where we are with our discussions. You know, are we going to have a conversation or are we going to have an argument? I know that you believe in what you're saying, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to believe in what you're saying. If what you're saying isn't true, and when you're talking to me, it's a good chance that part of what you're saying at least isn't true. And that's why you're talking to me, because you want to see a different perspective. Who said that? David said that. He said, what does he know? He doesn't know anything. Big mouth. He's looking just like you are. But then when you're looking at things, you start seeing stuff. You start seeing stuff. And so now at this age, this time, with this full moon Tuesday night, it's going to be, I think it starts around 2 in the morning. So if you want to see a beautiful sight of a red moon, it gets eclipsed around 2:30, 3:30, I think. And then it'll be over by 4. Now it's going to bring all that information to a person, and most of the world in the Americas, because that's where it's going to be visible, is going to be asleep. So I believe there's going to be some good dreams that night. Or good dreams to me, powerful dreams to everybody else. Some people might label them as nightmares. And I think that's just because they don't understand the message that they're giving themselves. Because every night that you go to sleep, you actually just leave your body and join to the cosmic part of yourself that you usually don't pay very much attention to anyway. It's trying to give you information, but it can only go by what you have set up as what you understand.
Right.
So when you have a dream that you understand, that tells you a lot about yourself. That you're not really in line with who you are. Because every dream is using the information and material that you have, that you've set up. And say, if you don't understand it, you need to start looking. This full moon is all about reminding us to start looking. Say, get focused, stay focused, and journey on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.